Hey guys, William Murfitt here, and in today's episode I'm going to be fixing the rear suspension of my car.
I know you don't love me like you say you do.
But before we do this, I've had a few comments on the previous video about the lens noise, so I'm going to try this one here, so bear with me. Ooh, is that any better? Right, so this lens here seems to be a little bit more zoomed in than this one, but hopefully it'll be a little bit more quieter on the focusing. Or maybe not. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to jack the rear wheel up, I'm going to go into the boot, release the top mount of the shock absorber, release the bottom mount of the shock absorber, and then after that I can explain what I'm going to do next. Right, it's off, let's get it fixed. Right, okay, so the shock absorber is now off. Now I've been out this evening and it's pretty late actually, it's coming to about 11 o'clock, so everyone here is in bed. So I thought what better time to come out and play around with the Mini. So what happens here is the shock absorber sort of compresses and expand to sort of dampen that shock of the bump in the road. Now the cone at the back also does the same, but this kind of is like a rebound and it tries to sort of soften the ride out a little bit. Now what happens is the bush on the bottom has got a metal sleeve through it, and that goes onto the shaft on the back of the stub axle, and that sort of moves up and down together. The issue I have here is the fact that the bush around that shaft, you can see that, has actually worn. So that shaft is now moving up and down in the bush. So I've got a couple of options. Option number one is replace the entire unit, which I have ordered replacement shocks. The issue is that they're not going to be here for God knows how long, because the company I've ordered from is messing me around a little bit. So a good friend of mine has lent me some Spax shocks which I can fit on. He's also given me some polyurethane bushes to replace the existing bushes in the suspension. So I don't quite know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to replace the bushes, and then when the new suspension turns up I'm going to take the whole unit back off and then replace that. So these literally just push on the other side, compress together, and that is complete. Now that goes into the groove, and then you put the washer on as normal and then bolt it up. So that's the way I'm going to fix this evening. When the parts turn up I will go through again and just basically like for like replacement. The other thing I'm only going to do is replace the driver's side for now, because I don't really want to take the fuel tank out, because it's quite a big job and there's loads of fuel. It's not a big job, but the tank is full of fuel. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it once and once only, so I'm going to do that when I replace the shock absorber. So I've got the bolt at the top which holds on this, then you've got your spacing cup and your bush, and then on the inside you've got basically the reverse, the bush and the spacing cup and the nut. So you do away with them for now. Let's try and get this old bush out. Okay, so it may have taken a little bit longer than anticipated, but I have the new shock absorbers for the car. A friend of mine managed to help me out and got me sort of going again for the time being, so I could continue to use the car. But I ordered some new shocks, and well, here they are. So I've ordered from Smithy Bits the new stainless bolts and washers, but yeah, 2 shock absorbers for a classic Mini. Bearing in mind they're this size, I've got 2 boxes, and yeah, talk about a waste of the environment. So the first one has got the shock absorber and paperwork, and just loads of this keys, and my daughter's filled it with some golf balls. And the second one had loads of this stuff, but I mean that's ridiculous. So if you're watching Car Parts for Less or Euro Car Parts, shame on you. They took far longer than expected to arrive. When they did arrive, just 2 boxes full of well, air effectively, so we could have saved the environment a little bit, put everything in one box and sent them out, but never mind, we are where we are. And yeah, so I've got my new shock absorbers. I've just gone for a budget one, and the reason I used Car Parts for Less was because they were £23 for the pair. I'm not after aftermarket, top quality. I just want something that can get me going from A to B. And you can see, I've got my shock absorber. The kit itself comes with the shock absorber and the top mounts that go both outside the car and inside the boot. So I'm going to replace the pair, which means the fuel tank's got to come out. Thankfully, on the fuel tank, I am running on fumes, so I shouldn't have an issue there with like losing any fuel. But I've got to get cracking on to get this done and dusted because it's very warm in here, and I just want to get out for a drive really because it's a Sunday afternoon, the sun's shining. So let's get this sorted. Right. Washer on. Shock absorber on. Second washer on. And then a nut. One side done, on to the next. The only thing different here is I've got to remove the fuel tank strap. So there's one bolt at the bottom, the strap will come off, take the fuel cap off, the fuel tank can sort of be moved to the side. I can undo the top bolt and the bottom bolt, and we'll have a complete shock absorber. So I'm just going to do that now. I won't film the process because it is exactly the same as this, and one bolt just down here. If you're doing a later model, you'll have more things to sort of take into account. On the top you've got your fuel pump, so you've got a feed in and a feed out, so you need to make sure you don't move your tank too far. On this, all I've got is my fuel sensor, or the fuel sender regulator really, which is two wires. They just unplug, and I can probably leave them plugged in because they've got a lot of slack on that wire. So we'll quickly do this off the camera, come back in time for a road test. Happy days. Right, both sides are now done. It's time to go for a road test. Right, both sides are now done. It's time to go for a road test. No knocks, no bangs, just silence. Oh, what a great job done. I'm so happy I've done that. So that is now all done and dusted. So if you have enjoyed this content, please hit the thumbs up button, comment down below, and if you can, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future content. That's it from me, and I'll see you next time.